Hi, it's Peter here in this beautiful park close where I live. We've had a lot of snow coming down last night and I decided to come out to make this video because I just needed to come out. And I'm talking about 40 to 150mm f4 Pro lens, the new lens that was just launched. I want to see how good this lens is because this is a very interesting lens. But before we get into the lens, I have to say a disclaimer. This lens is not mine. It was loaned from OMDS. And everything I say are my own opinions. OMDS does not see my videos in beforehand, nor do they tell me what to say on these videos. So everything that I say are my own opinions. So thanks OMDS for letting me test this brand new, interesting lens. But let's start. It's a very versatile focal length range, and most professional photographers has this focal length range in their toolkit, and it's a perfect companion with the 12 to 40mm lens. That might be everything you need. Maybe you need a fast prime lens for those really low light moments. But other than that, this lens or this focal length range and the 12 to 40mm lens, which I'm using for filming this, is most likely something that would cover everything you need when it comes to focal length range, of course. OMDS has now 3 lenses in the same focal length range. The f2.8 version, which is the older version of this, and then there is also the 40 to 150mm f4 to 5.6 version, which is from the Zuiko lineup. That one is not a pro lens. Unfortunately, I don't have the 4 to 5.6 lens at the moment so that I could compare it to this one, because this could be a good upgrade from that lens if you want a bit better weather sealed and all that. We will talk about the specs a bit later. But I can say for sure that this one has better image quality, because this image quality that I can get from this is almost the same as 2.8. Could be even better. It was a very close call, and you can watch it from there, the video where I compared this to the 2.8 version. But I think this lens, as I said, could be a very good upgrade from that 4 to 5.6 version of this lens. But let's continue. There was been some woodpeckers over there. I don't know if you can hear it, but they're too far for this lens. But there is another place where I can photograph, maybe I can photograph some small birds. It's a bird feeding station, so we'll check that later. But let's continue about this lens. And then let's talk about the usability of this lens. The form factor makes it really pleasant to use because, you know, it's easy to carry around and it doesn't weigh that much, and it's quite small for what it is. The focal length in 150mm end at least. I can totally see this lens in the hands of an adventure photographer, the niche that Olympus is targeting with its gear nowadays. And there is no need for tripod because the IBIS in the body takes care of that. You don't need to stabilize the camera that much because the body can do it for you. Long exposures and the camera shake from being 150mm, no problem even with longer shutter speeds because the IBIS takes care of that. But there are a few things that could be different in this lens. First of all, it doesn't have an MF clutch. Then it's not compatible with the extenders. And the third thing is that it's not compatible with 50 frames per second continuous autofocus on OM1 camera. Then if you use that continuous autofocus, you can get up to 25 frames per second, which is pretty fast too, but not the 50 frames per second. For me, those things are not that big, except the MF clutch, which I really like a lot, because I use manual focus surprisingly often. I don't know why. It's probably because I'm just used to it, and sometimes it's just more handy, especially in, you know, close-up photography, for example. It's really fast to manually focus. But of course, you can use the single autofocus or continuous autofocus plus manual focus, then that could work for you. But for me, I prefer the MF clutch. But I can understand why they left it out, because they want to keep this small, and of course it would add to the price slightly also. So, you know, it might be a thing or not. What do you think? Are you looking for those things? What about the extender? Is that a big thing for you? And then of course, yeah, which I almost forgot, it doesn't have an LFN button, which is not a big deal for me either. But what do you think? Are these small downsides a big thing for you? And yeah, and by the way, are you considering getting one of these lenses? But now I need to make some images to show you, and let's head out to the bird feeding place and see if there are any small birds that are hungry so that we can get a few shots. And here we are. There are some small birds flying around and I'm trying to photograph them with not much of luck, or it's not about luck, it's my lack of expertise in photographing birds. What about the image quality I was going to talk about and not complaining how bad I am at photography? Yeah, the image quality on this lens is just fine. I think it can match the f2.8 version, at least on my tests, what I did earlier. The image quality could be even slightly better, but like I explained on that video, that it might be some dirt on my f2.8 lens's front element. That could be it. And also one thing that this lens is better than the f2.8 is the fluorine coating that it has in the front element, and that's going to keep the lens cleaner, because if there is some water, for example, and it's easier to take out or clean the lens. That's one big thing, especially if you walking around, it might hit something and there might be all kinds of stuff on the front element, so it's easier to clean. So it might also keep the good image quality longer. After 5-10 years you can still have the same image quality as you have now. I don't know if that's the thing, but I suspect that the dirt on the lens makes it a bit worse. And also the image quality full open is quite good. You can use it full open, no problem. And the so-called bokeh or out of focus area also looks quite nice, which is actually quite an important thing. If you want a good separation from the background, you want to make it a bit out of focus. I already said a few words about the F4 lineup that OMDS and OM system has. And I think it's a good set of lenses to have F4. You can make them smaller. And that smaller size of the lens really underlines the direction that OMDS is going with their cameras. They want them to have the advantage of being a small system, because of course the bodies has kind of lost its advantage on size. Yeah, they're still in general smaller, but there are quite small full frame cameras, so the size matter is not that big. But when making smaller sizes, you have the whole system a lot smaller, which I think is a good thing. I'd really look forward to some more f4 lenses, and then also upgrades to older lenses so that they put the fluorine coating on those ones too, like the 40 to 150mm f2.8. Wouldn't that be nice with the fluorine coating to make it a bit better than the older model is? And then the question, am I going to buy this lens? Most likely not. The only reason is that I do have the 40 to 150mm f2.8 lens. I already have it, and I'm not that kind of an outdoor person that I go out quite a lot and photograph in the nature and big walks in the woods and stuff like that. If I was, then I would consider getting this, because this combination is really good. I really enjoyed using this combo, because I've said it so many times, but it is nice and small, and I really like that. That's why I'm using Olympus gear, because as a system it is quite small. And I don't know about the price range. This is not the cheapest lens, but it's not that expensive either. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Here is the video what I was talking about earlier, where I test this lens against the f2.8 version, and look how different the image quality is. There is also something about the 12 to 40mm comparison too. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.